Hi, everybody. My name is Lena Tan. And before I talk about the patch, I would like to give you a little history on what happened to my mom. So, back in 2019, right before COVID happened, she was diagnosed with chronic myeloleukemia. And they told us that she only had 9 months to live if we did not go through stem cell transplant. And at the time, when COVID happened, all her direct relatives were in China. So I was literally her last resort to be a donor. And luckily, we matched up. For the next 2.5 years, we went through everything to try to get her better. And I was her donor for the whole entire thing. But we went through a lot of complications with, the graft versus host disease, because I was only a half match, not a full match. And, she was actually in hospice towards the end because they didn't think she was going to make it because she was having such a bad, dementia that she couldn't even take her medication anymore from all the radiation, the chemotherapy. So, I mean, she was already in hospice. We didn't, we were expecting the worst. But a miracle happened. And as soon as she stopped taking her medication, everything stopped. My immune system decided to kick in for her and start working for her. So, it was everybody called her the miracle child. She got better, she got stronger over the days. And it was better for the next 3 months. But then she had a really bad urinary tract infection, and that knocked her off of her feet. So she was in the hospital again for a month. And after a month, she became incontinent. She couldn't, she would just literally lay in the bed like this with her hands shaking because she also developed rheumatoid arthritis at the time. So, every day I wake up, I have to give her I have to give her my wrist so that she will give me her wrist reluctantly so I can pull her up because she would not let me touch her hands because she's in so much pain. If I put a cover on her, she will scream in pain because her whole body aches. So every day our routine is I pull her up with my wrist. I put a whole bunch of pillow behind her so she can sit up so that way I can feed her. Well, my friend Judy Sahagan actually gave me
what I want to do right here is just show the pictures of what your mother looked like and being in bed and that she couldn't hardly move. And if you can, that picture of her trying to stand up, just talk a little bit about that.
So this was actually the standing up part was actually after the patch.
Oh.
So the one before she couldn't even toss and turn in bed. So every day, like now that her arm's actually down in here, before her aunt, she just lays like this and not move at all. I have to turn her whenever I change her so that she doesn't get bed sores or anything. But Judy was the one that introduced me to the patch along with Stephen Klein. And then she actually gave me 3 patches and said, here, try this. And I was like, what is it? So for like the next month, I did not use it because I didn't know what it was. And then, there was an event that was happening in Sarasota that was talking about what the patch does and everything. So she and Stephen took me over there. And that night, I was like, oh my gosh, this will work on my mom. So I went home at 1:00 in the morning and patched her. And just within like 6 or 7 hours, I went to get her up. She, instead of giving me her wrist, she gave me her hand and I pulled her right up. I was like, what? I was like, what the heck? But I was just like, oh my gosh, this thing works. And then, but then I was still like, well, maybe she just something's happening, and, but I was still trying to be reserved. I was like, okay. So the next day she set up and I didn't need to put pillows behind her anymore. She was able to sit up by herself.
So this is day 2. Mm-hmm. And you've always had to stack her with pillows because she didn't have the strength. Mm-hmm. And now she just sat up.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
And then the third day, she got up, she inched over to her chair, and sat on the chair. And then the fourth day, she literally walked with her walker to the bathroom from her room. Granted, she didn't make it back, but that was a progress, So every day things has been changing. And, for a while, I mean, she was getting better, but then she was, her dementia was still kicking. She forget things here and there. And, I still have to work around it. I cannot leave her by herself, even though she was doing better. And just last week, she, this is where she can actually go to the bathroom on her own, come back on her own. Everything has already progressed. And then last week,
we're going to move to the second. So this is her mother now.
Mm-hmm.
And so talk about the stairs, what she said to you and what test you did with her.
So last week, my mom said, I want to try to go downstairs. And I was like, well, that's great, but can you come back up? Because last time we tried this, I had to call an ambulance to take her to the emergency room and come back so that they would take her upstairs because she didn't have the strength to come up. So this time I let her try 3 steps down. And I was like, try 3 steps up first before we even attempt anything further. And she went 3 steps, no problem. I was like, all right, let's try this. She went down, she came back up. All on her own, without any of my help. I was just like, oh my gosh, I was crying while she was going upstairs, I was just like, I can't believe this. And then the next day, she went up and down the stairs 3 times. And then the following day, I took her out to eat. She has not been in public to eat for over a year.
This is incredible. It's incredible. I mean, these pictures are showing this looks like a completely new woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is the quality of life. I mean, she didn't have any quality of life. She just laid in bed all day.
And now she's feeling, what she likes to go out and do things. I mean, she's asking.
We just went to a friend's house to eat today. She's so much more active now.
And how is her incontinence? Because you mentioned something about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was getting better and better. Now she's all on her own. I don't have to do anything for her anymore.
That's incredible.
Everything on her own. Yep.
And so how has this made your life different? Because I know you were, after going through the cancer and then stepping into kind of like round 2 of taking care of your mother.
I mean, it was bad the first round, but then when your mom finally got better after 2.5 years, and then she goes down again, that was devastating. That was like, why me? What did I do? Why is this happening? And then, so, I had to cancel my whole entire trip for my business because I couldn't leave her. There was no way for me to go anywhere. But, now that she's better, I just went on a business trip for 3 days to Atlanta. Nothing happened. She was good. Everything was good.
This is incredible, folks. I mean, Lena, I know when you've told me this, my heart just goes out because caretaking older, parents, and especially when there's so much challenge like this is, I know you were kind of feeling depressed. You were sharing with me about, you didn't know about how you were going to live, because what did they tell you at the hospital when they sent her home?
Well, actually, I mean, she was in the hospital for a month, and then they said she needs physical therapy, but because her insurance, they couldn't send her anywhere. And so she was just like, they literally just dropped her off at home on an ambulance, and we're just supposed to deal with it. And I was like, I'm not a professional caretaker, Granted, I've been to the hospital so many times. I know how to change her. I have to roll her on one side, clean, and then roll her back on the other. I know how to do it, but I'm not a professional, and I mean, I'm literally just doing I mean, it's not a quality of life for me, for my
Right.
family, for anybody, you know, all of us were suffering.
Well, I know. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's such an inspiration for people to see somebody who was really on their way out have a complete revival. So thank you, and bless your mom, and
Thank you.
we'll check back and see if she's running a road race.
Oh yeah. I don't doubt it.